Following targeted attacks on journalists during their coverage of the Kawempe North by-election, many are still in hospitals, with those that narrowly survived having to deal with immense psychological trauma. Journalist Peter Chibazo, who has reported for more than 2 decades, says that Uganda has gone back to revisit its darkest chapters.
There was a lot of imprisonment of journalists. The history of Uganda is littered with media houses that have been closed, with journalists that have been killed. We have journalists that have died on the job. If you read the original, Mulengera took Kakoza Mutale to the bush because he had been hounded.
African Center for Media Excellence's Rachel Mugaramutana says that this violence has escalated to worrying levels.
And the escalation to the extent that you have 2 separate security agencies in one location, one watching almost with their hands tied, like they can do nothing against another security agency that is an aggressor.
With these scenes of Kawempe still fresh in the minds of journalists, many are beginning to question what is likely to happen when Uganda returns to the polls 9 months from now.
Whenever we are in an environment of heightened political activity, journalists are at greater risk. That is what trends have shown over the past couple 15, 25 years have shown that. Is it likely to stop tomorrow? No, because we saw what happened yesterday.
There will be brutal specs. There will be brutal sports. There will be brutal specs. There will be brutal sports. But it will not go across. But also, for as long as Mr. Museveni is in charge, you need to be careful. President Museveni does not want to appear like Bokassa.
The National Association of Broadcasters says that it's engaging those responsible.
With the ministry, with the regulator, with the security forces, and we want to make sure we don't expose our people to this kind of heinous brutality or whatever you want to call it.
On the proposal to black out on security agencies, experts have expressed mixed reactions with due consideration to advertising revenues from government.
Grow. Media houses as institutions are going to be extremely threatened, and they will either go out of business or they'll be shaken to toe the line of state.
Security and defense are some of the least covered public affairs subjects in Uganda. ACME does annual studies on the media's coverage of public affairs, and when it comes to defense and security, it's way, way, way at the bottom of 25 different public affairs subjects. So it's not really making a dent necessarily.
Despite the growing media industry in Uganda, including radio, TV and online platforms, journalists are increasingly working under fear, especially during election periods.
To the journalists to send the message. Right now, all of us are talking, these guys are brutal. We are talking about how crazy JAT is, how brutal it is, how unthinking they are, and we are sending the message the beta wanted.